Okay, welcome back to the Tom Bullock Chevrolet Morning Show here in WHIG. Kathy Akers coming in to join us and talk about a couple of things this morning. And
Yes.
This is not new for you and me because we've been talking about this for a while, but for
That's
some of our
right.
viewers, they may not know that there's been a change in your life.
Yes.
And although you're still the same Kathy Akers, Realtor, that anybody can reach and talk to about selling and buying a house, as always, but you're hanging your hat in a different location.
That is correct, Clint.
So where are you at now?
I am with Fathom Realty. My home base office is out of Raleigh. However, I am still local.
Right.
I'm still in Rocky Mount, still serving the Rocky Mount area and Twin Counties. Phone number's still the same, email's still the same, but just different name behind the business.
So now you're with Fathom Realty, but for all intents and purposes, it's Kathy Akers Realty.
That's right. That's right. We are independent contractors, so we set our hours, we do all of that. It's just who we basically hang our hat with.
Right.
You know, I'm very pleased to be associated with Fathom at this time, and I look forward to the relationship that.
Well, and again, you and I have talked about this behind the scenes for a few weeks now. One of the things I found interesting was that you never know what's out there unless you look.
That's right.
And you know, sometimes you get comfortable in the role you're in, and even if you hear about a new opportunity, you're like, well, that's change. We don't like change.
That's right.
And sometimes you just got to bite the bullet. And when you know, there's the old saying, a window shuts, a door opens, and that kind of stuff.
That's
and
right.
That's literally what happened here, isn't it?
That is. It is literally what happened, and you know, it's been a transition, but you know, it's a good transition.
Well, congratulations. Good luck
Thank
to
you.
you, and we appreciate you continuing to inform our viewers of what's going on in the real estate market as well.
Yes.
And so one of the things, you know, we've been bringing a lot of knowledge to our viewers, and we don't always like to repeat ourselves.
Right.
So, you know, we can always tell you what the market statistics are, and we'll do that in a couple weeks because
That's
it's
right.
been a new quarter. But let's talk now again about some home safety features. This affects all of us, not just somebody who's looking to buy or sell a home.
That's right.
But one of the things that, you know, you hear about carbon monoxide, you hear about radon. What does that mean?
Well, let me just say, the big concern we've been seeing over the last year is talking about radon. Radon is an odorless, tasteless gas, cannot be seen, and
So a human can't figure it out that it's there or not.
right.
Okay.
The concern is that it is the second leading cause of lung cancer. And we don't always hear a lot about it. We do hear about smoking and that kind of thing. But each year in the U.S., about 21,000 people
Wow.
develop lung cancer
Well,
from
half the population of Rocky Mount. Imagine
Right.
half our city in 1 year, not over many years, in 1 year,
Right.
getting lung cancer.
Right.
Wow.
So what are your chances? It has to do with high levels of radon in your home, the amount of time you spend in your home. It also, whether you smoke or not, because that also increases your chances. And, or if you're exposed to secondhand smoke. I'm not going to go into all the details of it, but, you know, the radon gas breaks down in your lungs and that kind of thing.
Right. The biology of it is
biology's,
it settles in
same,
and creates a chemical reaction, and you end up getting
cancer.
Yeah.
Right. So how does it get into the house? Let's talk about that. Radon is actually the breaking down of several different radioactive elements in either our ground.
And these are
groundwater,
naturally occurring
That's
radioactive
right.
things that happens all over the world, and,
That's
and
right.
it can happen just easily here. Actually, one of the ways you get gold and lead is through radioactive processes.
Right.
You know, those are actually the after effects of the original minerals that have broken down over time. And you do have residual radiation that then permeates to the ground. The ground actually slows it down and creates
Right.
filtering before it hits the surface.
Right. And if you're outside, you know, it's just going to be released and go, and so you're not real worried about it. But if it's coming up through your crawl space into the house, it gets trapped. There are remediation processes, but the first is determining whether you have it.
Right.
It can be found in 1 out of 15 homes
Wow.
in North Carolina or in the U.S. It can be found in all 100 counties here in North Carolina. So there has
there's
been
a good
documentation.
chance that could be around. How do we find out if we have it or not?
There is some simple radon test.
Okay.
You can have someone come in that will put in the detectors in your home and send it off to have it tested. You can also pick up a kit at Lowe's or some of the different home supply stores
Right.
and that kind of thing. Please follow it, the directions.
You still have to
You
mail off the
and
product.
Then you can send it off and find out the results. What is the levels that we're looking? They're measured in picocures per liter of air, or PICUs. 2 to 4 is an acceptable range. Anything over 4 is considered a high level in, and that's percentage per, like I said, per liter of air.
Right.
So if it's over 4, it's considered a high risk.
Right.
In a class that I had earlier this spring, there were agents in the class that were from the Lake Gaston, Roanoke Rapids area, and they were talking about having readings coming back at 100 to 125
Oh, good gracious.
PICUs per.
How do you, I don't know how you remediate that. That's just pick up the house and move it kind of stuff.
But you can't necessarily do that. But
Right.
there are ventilation systems that are used where they will go in and it helps pull ventilate through the ceiling, through the roof, and helps pull the gases out of the home
Right.
and out back into the
So
atmosphere.
do you create like an exhaust system so it
Similar
gets
to
straight
that,
up? Yeah.
and there's other things that are there are several methods that they use to do that, and I guess depending on the severity as to
Right.
what is what is recommended.
I mean, can you, and this is the question, I don't know, so I'm asking the
Yeah.
question, can you put down, because you see, especially crawl spaces now, people are putting down, the shielded crawl spaces where
Right.
it's not only just, you're putting the cording and stuff down there, but you're putting like a layer of saran wrap or tinfoil, whatever you want to call
Yeah,
it, across the entire
The
space.
sealed crawl space, yes.
Does that prevent the radon from coming through there?
That will help lessen. The radon.
Does it just push it to the sides and it goes out the edges?
That's kind of how that happens. Remember, it's going to, with any gas, it's going to find the spot of least resistance.
Right.
So when it comes up through your crawl space, remember, a lot of times it's just dirt down there. Some people do have a vapor barrier down there. Some have more than just that, with the sealed crawl spaces and that kind of thing. But if there's any type of crack or open spot,
It's going to find its way through.
It's going to find its way through and then up into the house. So a sealed crawl space, in essence, is going to help
So
somewhat.
unless every water pipe and air duct is
Right.
completely airtight sealed, it's going to find,
Yes.
it's going to find its way through, just like that.
That's right. Those are some of the things that, having those tests. A lot of people, we just had a homeowner that had a buyer to do the radon test this past week, and their first question was, should I be concerned about it at my house? It's something to
consider.
To consider,
Yeah.
and a lot of us should. In the 12 and a half years that I've been doing real estate, this is probably the second or third time that we've seen a radon test done in the area, but I think we're going to start seeing them
More
a
and
lot more.
Yeah.
It is one of those things that can lead to death, and
Or just in general, if you just get
Yeah.
lung cancer.
Right, right. So, we're trying to get the word out there. If you're wanting to know more, definitely you can research it at the North Carolina Public Health,
Okay.
or you can look at from the EPA. There's a lot of different information available out there. You know, the new construction is definitely coming out to installing the new they call it radon resistance construction.
Right.
So it's the system's already in there. And I remember coming out before my daughter went off to college in Charlotte. I remember it's been more than several years ago, that they were looking at these condos that were being built in the Charlotte area with a lot of concrete, that they were having to put remediation or radon remediation in those buildings.
Right.
You know, concrete basically has a lot of those minerals in them, so they're breaking down.
And it depends on where they source the material for the
That's right.
aggregate, that it could you're basically importing radon with you.
That's right. So, you know, it's not just, you know, our single family residences that we're talking about. So this is something that, you know, you need to, if you're concerned, you need to consider. It doesn't, there are some specific steps in that process. Like the house, you set the system up, you can't have the doors opening, closing, windows opening, closing. So it's basically a good time, like if you're going on vacation, to set it up and let it set during that period of time undisturbed.
Gotcha.
That way it can filter through and
Get
take
an accurate reading.
Get an accurate reading. So those are, you know, we always want to try to give you the information to help you in those processes.
So radon, there's a couple questions I have here, and the
Okay.
first one is radon is a gas. It is a byproduct of a radioactive materials.
Right.
How does it affect the water systems of folks and things like that?
You know, it's in our underground water. So
If you have a well, it could affect you.
That's true. But usually filtration systems are going to help pick up a lot of that. Again, I would refer you to the North Carolina Public Health or the EPA, and they can answer a lot more of those questions than since I'm not an expert on radon.
And the reason I mention that is we have a lot of county folks who have
Right,
well water,
that's
but they have dug their well in the 60s. Sometimes you've had to re-tap a well, but in most cases the well is the well.
Right.
Maybe you haven't upgraded your systems and your filters since the 90s.
Right.
It now might not be a bad time to consider those things, because radon probably wasn't a filter option back then.
Right. The other thing is, you know, and I'm sure people are sitting here thinking, okay, so we find out we have radon. The average cost in 2017 for fixing a radon problem in an existing home was $1,500.
It's not inexpensive.
Not inexpensive, but it's not
Not
cost
in the world
prohibitive.
either. Yeah. It's just low enough that you're not going to be able to write it off on the insurance.
Right. The
So
average
it's out of pocket. Let's be honest.
The average cost for going ahead and installing it in a new construction is only about $800.
Oh, that's not bad.
So
And you can roll that into your mortgage and just make it
Right.
part of it.
Now, and we were talking about the well. So the cost for a private well water radon treatment system ranges between $1,500 and $5,000.
Wow.
So again, you know, we're talking about, we do have a lot of private wells in our area. We do have some community wells.
Yep.
So those are there.
Actually, I know a guy who has a well in his property that could be a community well because he tapped into a high pressure point.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
the guy that bore the well was like, well, can we turn this into community well? And this guy that owns the land's like, no.
Yeah. So, you know, we talked about North Carolina Public Health and Safety, the EPA, but there's also the website, it's www.ncradon.org.
Just for our viewers, ncradon.org is the quickest quickest way to remember that. You don't always have to put the www in
That's
front.
true.
But ncradon.org for complete information on from the North Carolina Department of I guess, Agriculture and Commerce and
There's quite a few
Real Estate
different-
Commission and all those folks. Radiation
right.
protection. You know, I see radiation protection. I'm not like real thrilled to see that on there.
That's right. But it's, you know, it's also, you know, the cancer prevention and control. So, you know, as we said, it's, you know, the second leading cause of lung cancer.
Which is crazy when you think about it.
When
I
you
mean,
think
all the
about it.
things that are out there, from asbestos, which, you know, there's
Right.
not as much of that stuff anymore, but
But
you know,
it's still
smoking
there.
obviously is obviously the leading cause of cancer. But smoking's there was a study that came out a few months ago. Kids are drinking less, smoking less, you know, doing alcohol and drugs less. Yet it's still the second cause of lung cancer.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, just like I said, wanted to, you know, we've been talking about in the real estate market for the last year, we've been talking about this and getting the information out. And so wanted to, you know, just
Put
update
that
our
out there.
let our viewers know.
Well,
that
it's not the
something
kind
to
of
think
thing
about.
that any viewer needs to panic and run out
No.
and buy a detector right away.
No.
But you may want to, especially if you live in the county and maybe you have well water,
Right.
you might want to consider doing this. And you know, again, take a day or two off and go, you know, on a vacation and put this
That's
thing in your house. For the wives out there looking for an excuse to go on vacation,
That's right.
honey,
That's right.
we need to go on vacation for our safety and our health.
Right.
Oh, darn.
And if you're not comfortable using the kit that you can pick up at your local hardware store, you know, by all means, reach out. There are companies in the area that will do the testing for you and set it up so that you know that it's being done correctly and getting the results for you.
All right. Well, Kathy, if somebody wants to reach out to you about radon and how maybe it affects their home sale process,
Right.
If somebody isn't involved in radon whatsoever, but they are looking at buying or selling a home or for advice on what to do in the real estate market, how can they reach you?
They can give me a call at 252-266-4038.
And that's Kathy Akers with Fathom Realty. And congratulations on your new endeavor,
you.
your new old endeavor, because it's
That's
still
right.
you're still the same old professional, awesome Kathy Akers.
Thank you, Clint.
We'll be right back with our next look at the weather from the Weather Master.